The pillar of shame. The arena was silent, not the quiet of peace, but the heavy silence before a storm. Above, the sky burned red, as if the sun itself was angry. Thick shadows fell over the thousands of alien faces that watched from the stands. Some had eyes like molten gold, others like pools of black water. They had come from many worlds, but today they were united by one thing: the trial of a human. At the center of the arena stood a black stone pillar. It rose high into the air, sharp and cold like a blade. Chains of silver light wrapped around the prisoner. Locking her arms behind her back, her name was Alara. Her hair was tangled and her clothes torn, but her eyes still burned with something no chain could hold. They called it the Pillar of Shame. Every being chained to it was shown. To the whole galaxy, it was not only a place for punishment, but for humiliation. The aliens believed fear and shame were stronger than death. Yet Alara did not lower her head. The alien judge stepped forward, his long cloak sweeping the sand. His face was hidden behind a mask shaped like a skull. His voice was deep, cold, and carried across the arena. "Alara of Earth," he said, "you stand accused of crimes against the Interstellar Accord. You are charged with the destruction of 3 empires, the theft of the starseed, and the breaking of the sacred oath of peace." The crowd hissed and murmured. Some shouted insults in languages humans could not speak. Others stared at her in silence, watching, waiting, but Alara's lips moved. No one could hear her words at first, so the judge stepped closer. "What do you say in your defense?" he demanded. Alara lifted her head. Her voice was quiet, but it cut through the air like a blade. "I swore an oath," she said, "and I will keep it, even if the stars burn." A ripple went through the crowd. Some looked afraid, others looked angry. The judge's masked face tilted. "You speak as if your words can change the fate of worlds," he said. "They already have," Alara answered. The crowd roared, the noise rising like a storm wind. Alien guards tightened her chains, their armor glowing with strange blue symbols. One guard, taller than the rest, leaned close to her ear. "You should be afraid," he whispered. "There will be no rescue here." But then, from high in the stands, a shadow moved. A hooded figure raised their hand and made a small, sharp gesture. It was quick, almost unnoticeable, but Alara saw it. It was the sign of the resistance. Her heart beat faster, but her face stayed still. The judge raised his staff and the crowd went silent again. "At sunrise," he declared, "you will be executed. Your body will remain at the pillar for all worlds to see, and your name will be erased from the Accord's history." Alara looked past him, past the guards, past the endless alien faces, up to the burning sky. Somewhere beyond those clouds, beyond the high walls of the city, she knew the resistance was moving. She did not know if they would reach her in time, but she knew this: she would not die before her oath was complete. Her chains glowed brighter, reacting to her movement. Pain shot through her arms, but she bit her lip and said nothing. The judge turned away, his cloak sweeping the sand again. The crowd began to leave in slow, heavy waves. Some spat at her as they passed. Others simply stared. The hooded figure was gone. Only the guards and the echo of the crowd's anger remained. Night fell quickly on this world. 2 moons rose, casting pale light on the pillar. The wind howled through the arena, carrying with it the smell of dust and metal. Alara closed her eyes. In the darkness of her mind, she remembered the day she made the oath. The faces of her crew, the burning of her home-world skies, the promise she had whispered into the cold void of space. She had sworn to protect humanity, no matter the cost. Somewhere far away, something exploded. The ground trembled under her feet. The guards looked up sharply. Alara opened her eyes, and for the first time since she was captured, she smiled. The night was not over, and neither was she. The oath long before the Pillar of Shame, before the blood-red sky, there was the day of the oath. It began on a quiet morning aboard the Astra Vale, the human envoy ship that sailed between alien stars. The corridors hummed with the low sound of engines. Alara walked through them with the steady steps of someone who carried secrets. The crew greeted her with smiles, but none of them knew what she had learned. At the heart of the ship was the council chamber, a round room with walls of glass. Beyond them, the black ocean of space stretched forever. Sprinkled with starlight, inside, 12 alien envoys waited. Their forms were different, some tall as trees, others small enough to fit in a human's arms. But they all carried the same sharp intelligence in their eyes. The head envoy, a pale being with skin like glass and veins that glowed faint blue, spoke first. "Alara of Earth," he said, "your world has been weighed by the Accord. It has been found unnecessary." The words were calm, almost kind, but they struck her like a blade. "Unnecessary?" she asked. "It is agreed," the envoy continued, "that Earth's survival will disturb the balance of the galaxy. Within a cycle, the cleansing will begin." Alara felt her chest tighten. Her mind flashed with images of oceans, mountains, and the laughter of children on the streets of her home. "Billions will die," she said, the envoy's glowing veins pulsed once. "Yes," he replied simply. That was the moment. She could have walked away, accepted their decision, saved herself. But instead, she stepped forward. Her voice steady though her heart pounded. "If you touch my world," she said, "if you harm even one child of Earth, I swear I will tear your empires apart. I will burn your skies. I will break your laws. I will fight until the last star fades. I will protect humanity, no matter the cost." The words hung in the air like a blade waiting to fall. Some envoys laughed. Others stared at her as if she had already signed her own death. The glass-skinned envoy leaned closer. "Then you choose war," he said. "I choose my people." Alara replied. From that moment, her life was no longer her own. Messages from unknown sources began to find her. Symbols of the resistance appeared in the corners of shadowy ports. Whispers of the starseed reached her ears. An ancient device, forbidden and powerful. It was said to hold the ability to change the DNA of a planet's life forms. Used wisely, it could make Earth unbreakable. Used poorly, it could destroy entire star systems. Alara didn't care about the warnings. She cared about one thing: finding it before the empires did. The search took her to forgotten moons, to trading posts hidden in asteroid belts. She faced mercenaries, assassins, and creatures that lived in the dark places between suns. Each time she survived. Each time her oath burned brighter inside her. When at last she held the star seed in her hands, it was smaller than she imagined, a sphere no bigger than her fist, glowing softly, like a heartbeat made of light. It was beautiful, and it was dangerous. She hid it deep in the core of her ship. No one would take it from her, not while she still breathed. But secrets have a way of bleeding into the air. Her enemies followed. The last attack came without warning. A fleet of black warships surrounding the Astra Veil. They disabled her engines, boarded the ship, and dragged her to the surface of an alien world. The starseed vanished from her sight. They told her she would stand at the pillar of shame until she confessed where it was. That was weeks ago. Now she waited in the arena, bound in chains. She did not know who had the starseed, but she knew one thing. Her oath was still alive, and somewhere in the shadows, the resistance still moved. The sunrise would decide more than her life. It would decide the fate of worlds, asterisk chains, and whispers. The night on Jaros 4 was not silent. It breathed. Wind slid over the high walls of the arena like a slow hand, carrying with it the dry rattle of banners and the faint smell of burnt metal. Far above, the twin moons hung like pale eyes, watching. Below them, Alara stood at the pillar of shame, her chains glowing faint blue in the cold light. The crowd was gone. Only the guards remained, 5 alien soldiers, armor humming softly with hidden energy. They stood at the edges of the sand, their shadows long and sharp. From where she stood, Alara could see the main gate, tall enough for war beasts to pass through. It was closed, but she had learned. Long ago that a closed gate was not always a locked one. A soft voice reached her ear. Alara. It was no louder than a breath. Her head turned slightly, eyes scanning the shadows. One of the guards had moved closer, his back half turned to the others, under the visor of his helmet. A faint glint of human eyes met hers. "Stay still," he whispered. "They're watching." His hand brushed the edge of her chain, and for a moment she felt something, a pulse, a flicker of heat, and then it was gone. "Tell me who sent you," she murmured, but he didn't answer, only stepped back to his post. Her pulse quickened. Was he resistance? Or was he bait, planted to make her speak? She had been tricked before, and here, a single wrong word could cost more than her own life. The hours dragged like stones. Somewhere deep in the city, a low hum began to rise, almost too faint to. Here, the guards didn't react, but Alara's breath slowed. She knew that sound. It was the call of a human signal beacon, old tech, one the alien empires had long abandoned. It meant, "We are near." The hum came again, and this time, a hooded figure stepped out of the shadows in the far corner of the arena. He walked slowly, as if he belonged here, but his eyes never left hers. When he reached the edge of the sand, he bent down and touched the ground with 2 fingers. A small spark of white light ran through the dust before vanishing. A message only she would understand. At sunrise, move. Her chains tightened suddenly. Pain jolted up her arms. The judge's voice echoed from the far side of the arena. He had returned, his cloak trailing over the sand. "You look awake, human," he said. "That is good. Dawn will be." Interesting. The hooded figure was gone. The human-eyed guard said nothing more. And the hum in the distance faded, swallowed by the night. Alara leaned back against the cold stone of the pillar. Every muscle in her body screamed for rest, but her mind was alive, sharp. The resistance was here, or so they wanted her to believe. At sunrise, chains might break, or a blade might fall. In the quiet between breaths, she made her choice. If the trap was for her, she would spring it herself. Better that than waiting for someone else to decide her fate. The moons shifted higher. The stars wheeled above like silent witnesses of somewhere out beyond the city walls. Shadows moved in the dark, and the first thin line of light touched the horizon. The trial of worlds, the first light of dawn touched the arena. It slid across the black stone of the pillar of shame, turning the silver chains into lines of fire. The crowd returned with the sunrise. Thousands of alien eyes, cold and bright. The stands filled with the sound of many languages, but all carried the same hunger. They had not come for justice. They had come for the spectacle. Alara stood straight. She would not let them see her weaken. Above the noise, the long note of a horn echoed. The gate at the far end of the arena opened. The alien judge stepped forward, flanked by 2 armored attendants carrying black tablets. His mask caught the sun, gleaming like bone. "Alara of Earth," he began, "you are called before the Accord for crimes against the peace of the galaxy." The attendants lifted their tablets, and lines of glowing script appeared in the air. "The charge of planetary destabilization," the judge said. "The charge of theft of a classified artifact, and the charge of initiating the collapse war." The crowd hissed at the last words. Some even turned away, as if the name of the war carried a curse. Alara kept her gaze fixed on the judge. "Say it," she said. The judge's head tilted. "Say what?" "Say what the artifact was," she replied. The judge's voice dropped, heavy with meaning. "The starseed." The air in the arena shifted, murmurs, gasps, and a few sharp cries broke through the crowd. Even the guards glanced at each other. The starseed was not a word spoken lightly. The judge continued. "Ancient, older than the Accord itself. Created by the founders to seed life on barren worlds." His tone sharpened. "And in the wrong hands, capable of ending that life just as easily." Alara spoke loud enough for the crowd to hear. "In your hands, it would mean control over every world, every race, every breath taken in the galaxy." "In your hands," the judge said. It would mean chaos. You are human. Your kind is young, reckless, and yet you thought yourself worthy to hold it. A wave of heat pulsed through the chains. The pillar seemed to hum, as if the stone itself wanted her to speak the truth. But she stayed silent. Not yet. The judge leaned forward. You will tell us where it is. You will tell us now, or the world you claim to love will suffer for your defiance. From somewhere in the stands, a voice called out, "Ask her why the founders marked her name." The crowd stirred again, confused, curious. The judge froze. He did not speak for a moment. And that silence told Ilara everything. So they didn't want the people to know. They didn't want them to hear about the mark that burned. On her arm even now, hidden under the cuff of her torn sleeve. It was not just an oath. It was a right, given to her by something far older than the accord. The judge straightened, cutting the air with his staff. This trial will decide the fate of more than one human, he said. It will decide the fate of every world that dares to stand outside the accord. He turned to the crowd. Let it begin. The chains around her wrists shifted. Energy flared through them like lightning, forcing her to her knees. But Ilara's eyes found the far stands, there. A glint of light, too sharp to be morning sun. A signal, quick and deliberate. The resistance was still here, and whatever happened next, the trial would not end the way the judge thought. The choice the sun was higher now, its light cut across the arena in hard, golden lines. Ilara stayed on her knees, chains biting into her skin. The judge stood above her like a shadow carved from stone. You have one chance, he said. Tell us where the starseed is. Tell us now, and Earth will live. The words dropped into the air like stones into water. Ripples of shock ran through the crowd. Even the guards shifted uneasily. The judge's voice grew colder. Refuse, and your people will be erased. Their cities turned to ash, their oceans boiled away. We will take our time. Ilara's heartbeat slowed, not because she felt calm, but because she was counting. Every second she stayed silent was another second the resistance had to move. Somewhere in the stands, someone coughed twice in a pattern. She heard it, but the judge didn't. You can save them, Ilara, the judge pressed. One word from you, and the war ends before it begins. He leaned closer. No one will know you betrayed the resistance, no one but me. For a moment, her mind wavered. She saw her home in her memory. Children running through narrow streets, fishermen pulling nets from silver water, the smell of bread baking in open markets. She imagined it all gone, but then another image came, the starseed glowing in her hands, its light not warm like the sun, but alive. It had not been made to destroy. It had been made to choose. She lifted her head, meeting the judge's empty mask. Do you think I came here to trade? She asked. I came here to finish what I started. The crowd roared. The judge's hand twitched. He wanted to end it now, but something stopped him. One of his armored attendants stepped forward and whispered into his ear. His mask turned slightly, and for the first time, Ilara saw it. A flicker of doubt. The attendant straightened and spoke aloud. My lord, the outer gates have been breached. The judge's voice turned sharp. By who? We do not know. The noise in the stand swelled. In the far distance, there was a low rumble. The ground under her knees trembled. Ilara's lips curved into the smallest of smiles. She had not spoken the location of the starseed, but it was moving toward the arena all the same. The judge slammed his staff into the ground. Seal the inner walls. The guards closed in around her, chains dug deeper, heat flaring through them. But she kept her gaze fixed on the horizon. If the resistance was coming, they were coming fast. Still, a question burned in her mind. Were they here to save her? Or to take the starseed and finish the war on their own terms? Fire in the sky, the sound came first, a deep, rolling thunder that didn't belong to any storm. The crowd turned their heads toward the horizon. Above the high walls of the arena, a black shape broke through the red morning sky. Then another. And another. Ships, fast and armed, their engines leaving trails of blue fire. The judge froze. The attendants whispered rapidly, their glowing tablets flashing warnings. Alara felt the chains hum against her skin, reacting to the sudden energy. In the air, she kept her eyes on the ships. Her heartbeat matched their rising roar. The first blast hit the outer walls. Stone and dust exploded upward, raining over the stands. The crowd screamed, pushing toward the exits. The guards formed a tight ring around the pillar of shame. Weapons ready, through the chaos, Alara saw them, the silver insignia of the resistance painted on the lead ship's hull. Her chest tightened. It was true. They had come. But something was wrong. The ships weren't slowing down. They were dropping, fast, their weapons still firing. Not at the guards, not at the judge. But into the stands, she saw aliens falling, not soldiers, civilians. The resistance wasn't here to save her. They were here to make a point. The inner gates blew open, and a squad of resistance fighters stormed in. Their armor was black and red, their visors hiding their faces. The leader stepped forward. Alara, he called. Her name cracked through the chaos like a whip. The judge moved to block their path, raising his staff. But the resistance leader didn't aim for him. He aimed for the pillar. A single shot, bright and sharp, struck the chains. They shattered in a burst of light, falling to the sand in smoking pieces. Alara's arms burned with sudden freedom. She grabbed the nearest guard's weapon. Her instinct screamed to fight her way out. But the leader's voice cut through the dust. "We're not here for you," he said. "We're here for what you're hiding." Her grip tightened on the stolen weapon. The starseed, they knew. They'd always known behind her. The judge's voice thundered. "Seize them all." Guards clashed with resistance fighters, the arena becoming a storm of metal and fire. Overhead, one of the ships burst into flames, spiraling toward the stands. Alara stepped back from the leader, eyes locked on his hidden face. "If you want it," she said, "you'll have to take it from me." "Then we agree," he replied. And in the chaos of battle, their war began. Fate of worlds. The arena was no longer a place of trial. It was a battlefield. Smoke curled up into the red morning sky, carrying the smell of burning stone and scorched metal. The stands were broken. Half of them collapsed into rubble. Resistance fighters clashed with alien guards, blasters cutting. Through the dust and shouting, Alara moved fast. The freed chains still dangled from her wrists, but she ignored them. She ran for the east gate, the only way to reach her hidden ship. The starseed was there, locked in a chamber only she could open. Behind her, the judge's voice roared orders. Above her, the resistance leader followed, cutting through anyone who stood in his path. He wasn't coming to protect her. He was coming for the same thing the judge wanted. She broke into the gate tunnel, the sound of battle fading behind thick stone walls. Her footsteps echoed as she ran. Every turn of the corridor brought her closer to the hangar where her ship waited, closer to the choice she had been running from since the day she found the starseed. At the final door, she stopped, her palm pressed to the panel. A beam of light scanned her skin. The mark the founders had burned into her arm glowed faintly. The door opened with a low hiss. Inside, the starseed floated in a suspension cradle. It pulsed with soft white light, like a living heart. She stepped inside, the hum of its energy crawling over her skin, then footsteps. The resistance leader entered from one side of the hangar, the judge from the other. Both had weapons raised. Neither looked at each other. Both looked only at the sphere. "Alara," the judge said, "give it to me, and your people live." "Alara," the leader said, "give it to me, and the accord dies." Two promises, two threats, both dressed as salvation. She walked to the cradle and wrapped her hands around the starseed. Its light grew brighter, spilling over her arms. She could feel it, not just power, but something deeper. It was listening to her, waiting. She looked from one to the other. "I swore to protect humanity," she said, "but maybe I was wrong to choose only one world." The starseed's light flared, so bright it blinded them all. The ground shook. As the hangar filled with a sound like the roar of 1,000 storms, a crack opened in the air itself. Through it, a glimpse, stars shifting, whole worlds bending like light in water. Her voice carried over the chaos. This time I choose. The fate of all worlds. The light swallowed everything, and then darkness, asterisk.